In 2022, Elon Musk controversially tweeted that Japan will eventually cease to exist at the rate its population shrinks. Asia's second-largest economy may face a shortage of more than 11 million workers by 2040, according to a 2023 study. From tapping on foreign workers to mobilizing robots, the country is in a desperate rush to plug the gap.
また人口減少に伴い人手不足が恒常化する中、デジタルの力を活用することが重要です。
Last year, neighboring South Korea beat its own record for having the world's lowest birth rate, reporting 0.72 births per woman for 2023, down from 0.78 in 2022. The largely homogeneous country is learning to live with a new reality, the growing presence of foreign workers in its midst.
축소 사회에 대한 대비도 시작을 해야 된다. 다시 말해서 저출생이 상시화된 그런 대한민국 사회를 대비해서 과연 무엇을 지금부터 준비해야 되느냐 하는 것도 준비를 해야 된다.
The working age population of China, the factory of the world, has been shrinking for a decade now. The Chinese government predicted the size of this group will further shrink from 880 million in 2021 to 700 million by 2050, a dive of 180 million, larger than the entire population of Bangladesh.
数字型、创新型、复合型的高技能人才仍然稀缺，钳工、焊工、养老护理员等一线技工普遍短缺。
From construction to F&B, businesses are bearing the brunt.
因为长期缺工，却会造成我们的服务下降。可能大家不太能理解这个状况，因为其实我就有一些店1-2年我都还没请到店长。
Facing a worsening labor crunch, Taiwan has turned to India for a new supply of foreign workers, while Hong Kong did not look far. Since July last year, the city's construction sector has been allowed to bring in workers from China, marking a drastic shift in its labor policy.
Since last July, Chinese social media platform Xiaohongshu has been abuzz with posts of job opportunities in Hong Kong for Chinese workers. The city's decision to bring in construction workers from China was a break from a long-standing practice that aimed at protecting locals. Authorities said it's a temporary measure, but locals are worried they will be crowded out by the cheaper source of labor. For construction companies, they do not have many options. Chunwo Construction brought in 120 Chinese workers since the relaxation.
呢幾年感受係特別深嘅，因為呢幾年政府係的確係推咗好多嘅工程出嚟啦。咁但係你聽過㗎啦，大家都知道，即係住屋啦、房屋係呢幾年嘅重點啦，所以係要好多工人去開工啦嚇。咁就有時要趕工咧，係起動唔到啲人嘅，即係根本你揾唔到工人翻嚟做係。 咁同埋唔好唔記得呢1-2年咧，香港嘅地產係弱咗啲嘅，起私樓嘅冇咁多嘅。將來如果到27年真係個樓市又復甦嘅話咧，再多翻嗰啲出嚟咧，短缺嘅情況仲更加嚴重。
Hong Kong has earmarked a string of big-ticket projects in its latest infrastructure rush, from the massive northern metropolis residential project to a blueprint to build more railways and tunnels across the city. Authorities also in February scrapped decade-old curbs on residential properties in a bid to bolster its flagging real estate market. It's predicted the construction sector will face a labor shortage of 40,000 in 2027, up from the current 10,000. Last year, the sector employed some 400,000 workers. Nearly half of them were over the age of 50. The Hong Kong Construction Association conducts manpower surveys twice a year since 2012.
嗱，我哋最近嗰2次做，譬如就係2023年嘅4月同11月。譬如4月做嗰個咧，我哋反映出嚟咧，大概我哋整行缺嘅人手咧，係大概係13.59%。而到11月我哋再做咧，嗰個數字反映出嚟咧14.05%。其實反映到個行業本身 人手短缺係超過10%嘅，咁其實都幾大一個缺口喺度嘅。
So far, more than 7,100 Chinese workers have been approved under the quota of 12,000 allocated to the construction sector. Authorities said that they will not be paid below the city's prevailing median wage and are only allowed to take part in public projects of more than $130 million. There are calls for the government to lower the threshold and make it permanent. If the shortage persists, that could be a possibility.
我哋唔會容許人力短缺成為阻礙香港復甦、窒礙經濟發展、影響民生嘅瓶頸。本地勞工優先，繼續會係政府人力政策嘅基礎。但係當行業已經盡咗最大嘅努力，通過培訓同埋種種鼓勵就業措施，依然出現人力不足嘅情況呢，適度同埋有規範咁輸入勞工係我哋唔能夠唔考慮嘅政策。
And it's not just workers on the construction sites that are in short supply. There's also a shortage of engineers, architects, and surveyors. The Construction Industry Council predicted a considerable shortage of up to 6,500 such professionals by 2027.
From Taiwan to Kumamoto Prefecture in Japan, the South Korean city of Pyeongtaek, and the U.S. state of Arizona.
Advanced semiconductor manufacturing to make a comeback here in America after 40 years.
A global rush to build new semiconductor manufacturing capacity is underway. They also form what's known as the Chip 4 Alliance, seen as an attempt to encircle China's chip ambitions. But even within the US-led small yard and high fence, the battle is fierce. Japan once reigned supreme in global semiconductor manufacturing. In the 1980s, ultra-efficient Japanese memory producers controlled up to 70% of the global DRAM market at one point, pushing their American competitors to the brink of collapse. But the absolute dominance soon bred hubris and overinvestment. In the 1990s, when memory prices crashed amid an economic downturn, Japanese DRAM producers crumbled. When Japanese memory maker Elpida filed for bankruptcy in 2012, the country officially bowed out of the industry it once dominated. In the decades since, while Japan still controls key materials in semiconductor manufacturing, such as photoresist, photomasks, and silicon wafers, it never gained back its former glory. By 2022, it produced less than 10% of the world's semiconductors. Now it's seizing on the global realignment of semiconductor manufacturing capacity as its last chance to make a comeback. The failure of Japanese memory makers in the 1990s left an opening for newcomers in the region. In 1992, South Korea's Samsung became the largest producer of memory chips in the world, and it never looked back. Around that time in Taiwan,
I think that the semiconductor market will grow 200 to 300 basis points more than the world GDP.
Morris Chang, the island's legendary semiconductor godfather, took TSMC public, first in Taiwan and later on the New York Stock Exchange, setting the company firmly on its path to be a dominant, pure-play foundry of the world's most advanced chips. As of today, these are chips that are 8 nanometers or smaller and widely used in smartphones, supercomputers, and data centers. Samsung entered the foundry business only in 2017. Compared to TSMC's nearly 60% global market share, Samsung's share of slightly more than 10% would make it seem like a distant second. But the South Korean tech giant anticipates the race to get tighter when the industry enters the lane of 2-nanometer process by 2025, where it said it aims to dislodge TSMC. The global semiconductor industry flourished in the last few decades, partly thanks to the rise of China as a key customer. For a while, China's semiconductor industry followed a tried and tested path of exchanging market for technology and enjoyed rapid growth. It became a force to be reckoned with, especially in legacy chips, semiconductors that are produced with 28-nanometer technology or larger. That all changed when the US pressed the pause button on China's advancement in what it called choke points of foundational technologies. It cut off China's access to critical materials and equipment needed to make cutting-edge chips, among other things. President Xi Jinping has for a decade called for breakthroughs be made to untangle China from what he called 掐脖子 or stranglehold technologies, a total of 35 of them, 7 of which are related to semiconductors, according to state media.
400年，同学们，你们投票同不同意？400年后。
In a widely circulated video on Chinese social media platforms, a Peking University professor was seen telling his students that based on their study, it will take 400 years to get China to where it is today if it were to fully research, develop and build the high-speed train system on its own. Without unfettered access to the global supply chains for semiconductors, can China's chip ambitions come true?
Malaysia is said to be in the sweet spot. It has a 50-year head start in semiconductor manufacturing since US chip giant Intel set up its plant in the northern state of Penang. The existing ecosystem, in particular at Penang and adjacent Kulim Kedah, is a magnet for tech companies seeking to de-risk amid intense rivalries between the US and China over cutting-edge technologies. Many semiconductor electric vehicle companies have been relocating to Southeast Asia to bypass trade restrictions and strengthen their supply chains.
We are friendly to both China and the United States, and because of the trade war between them, we become a very suitable conduit to balance the trade war between these two countries, where I mentioned that China, and not only China, actually European countries, are also relocating to Malaysia because they want to export their products to China.
Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who's been travelling overseas, has been on a charm offensive to woo high-tech investments.
We are, of course, at your service. We will engage where you need the China market, but you need an important base in Malaysia.
But just rolling out tax incentives is not sustainable amid stiff competition from neighbouring Indonesia and Vietnam. This as Malaysia aspires to move up the value chain.
Are we providing the right kind of human resource? Are we providing the right kind of skilled labour to these companies so that they can be part of the higher value-added manufacturing or services ecosystem? And I think this is a challenge that many companies face.
On top of that, Malaysia is said to be facing constraints in its local supply chains.
We've seen examples of how some Chinese companies who have come into Malaysia in the past, they do not fully integrate with the local supply chain. And what this means is that the local SMEs in Malaysia and other companies, they are not able to benefit from the FDI coming into Malaysia.
Since 2021, Malaysia has seen a steady increase in foreign direct investment in its tech sector. Chip giants Intel and Infineon Technologies are each investing $7 billion to include design and advanced chip making beyond packaging, assembling and testing. Austrian tech giant AT&S is producing high-end circuit boards, while NVIDIA is teaming up with local conglomerate YTL to develop a multi-billion-dollar artificial intelligence cloud and supercomputer infrastructure in Malaysia. Ensuring local participation to create national champions is a key pillar of Malaysia's government strategy going forward.
We are also engaging Malaysian companies, Malaysian investors, especially the government-linked investment companies, to see how they can participate as well. In fact, we have institutionalizing the process where we invite local companies to also have stake in the game.
Malaysia is currently the 6th largest exporter of semiconductors in the world, accounting for about 13% of the global market. Now, while Malaysia is eager to bolster its position in the global semiconductor supply chain, the government is also aware of the risk of exposing the economy to greater volatility from an unpredictable tech cycle. But for now, the country is on the good path to becoming a hot spot in the electronics industry globally.
Now I'm waiting for my train to arrive, and the best way to kill some time would be to watch some online videos. And here in China, the best and most popular ways to watch drama would be micro dramas. Now, as its name suggests, each episode only lasts about 1 to 2 minutes. Now, since the majority of users are female, the protagonist is usually a woman, and it could revolve around themes like female empowerment and also themes like romance. So let's watch some of the online videos. For instance, this video is about a woman who reincarnates and comes back for revenge and falls in love with the enemy instead. Now, most of these episodes also tend to end with a cliffhanger or twist, leaving viewers hooked. And after watching around 10 episodes, the plot gets a bit juicier, and that's when the platform will generate a message requesting that I pay to continue watching the rest of the episodes. Now, there are different packages, maybe just about $1 to catch 20 episodes and $10 to catch 60. Microdramas on online platforms have experienced rapid growth in the Chinese market over the last 2 years, and industry watchers estimate market value to be about 38 billion yuan. That's more than $5 billion in 2023 alone. That's triple-digit growth compared to previous years, and we can expect its popularity to continue growing in the coming years.
You don't stand a chance with Byron. He is the richest man in LA.
The show Snatched a Billionaire to Be My Husband airs on the California-based platform Real Shorts.
He doesn't date.
Like all Real Shorts shows, the video is vertical, the scenes melodramatic, the episodes just 1 minute long.
We're trying to create a very different new way to storytelling, focusing on the romance element. And people call us the mini soap opera. If you look at the entire video streaming landscape, Real Short is the only app only support the vertical screen. And we are not only to focusing on the romance element, but also we try to create this the moment people can watching our content at any time and anywhere. Okay? Sometimes people are watching our show on the lunchtime. Sometimes people watch our show while they're waiting for elevators. So we're trying to create a very unique moment and capture those moments and deliver our content.
The Chinese tech industry veteran who founded Crazy Maple Studio, the company that publishes Real Short, says the key to a successful show is all about keeping the plot moving.
So we have to change the entire story structure to put the biggest hook at the very beginning. So if we don't hook people at the very beginning, we're losing people. So that's fundamentally, we have to restructure the story and create our own way.
The short-form, episodic video content that took off in Asia during the pandemic has now become a hit with American audiences. Real Short now consistently ranks among the top 10 most downloaded and highest grossing apps in the entertainment category in the US. It's free to watch episodes at first, but eventually you have to either view advertising or pay to find out what happens next. Some industry experts believe that Real Short's success is a sign that audiences are ready for something different than the user-generated content that dominates TikTok and other social media platforms.
Videos that people are kind of over-consuming right now. I think they're kind of getting a little too tired of it because it seems like every time you scroll, you're getting that. So they want to, I feel like the industry is going where they want to see higher higher quality produced stuff.
I need my engagement ring back.
It's still early days for the genre, especially in the US, but as more people catch on and competitors take note of what Real Short is doing, every minute counts.